on the show this evening. Let me get them out now. Welcome back to the show. Aidan's here. Jesse is here with me. Welcome, gentlemen. I'm going to go to Aidan first, who's obviously a United fan. What did you make of tonight, mate?
Overall, the first half I think was a bit meh, because in the first 10 minutes it was a bit scrappy, which I kind of expected, because before the game, Amorim said about this game was to experiment and try out different things, which, to be fair, that's what preseason is all about. Is about getting fitness up and trying new sort of things out, and it's to be expected because this is Amorim's first preseason, and it's been a lot of like bring the players up to speed with his system and stuff. But I think the first goal came from a very good transition, and Mbeumo was involved in that. So I think a lot of our goals will come from transitions, because Man United are normally a transition team. We do the best when we're transitioning, and with Bruno wants to always get the quick pass off. And a lot of the time last season, we just weren't moving the ball quick enough. I think Goldbridge said it on his watch along. When you move the ball quick, it's harder for teams to counteract it, because you're moving the ball quick and we have no time to react. So I think by doing that with Cunha and Mbeumo in the team, we'll get. I think a lot of goals will come from quick areas this season. But in the second half, it was a bit. There wasn't much going on. The goal was really unlucky from Heaven, because I think that he just got in the way of Ahmad trying to clear the ball. So, but Bayunda I don't know why Bayunda was just watching it go in. I mean, possibly thought he was going out, but it just shows more that we need more of a goalkeeper that we need. And with we need a new midfielder. It's clear, but we've got to find the right midfielder, because Bruno. A lot of people wanted it to be Maino and another midfielder, but it's going to be Bruno playing that pivot. So we need someone who can help Bruno with defensive ability, because Bruno's not the best, but it's got to be the right player who can complement Bruno and the rest of the team, to be honest. So, yeah, no,
I agree, and this is the thing for me. As much as I do want a midfielder, there's things to view in this as well. Who are our targets? Are they available now? Are they attainable? Are they affordable? And this is where sometimes. So again, don't think about what Liverpool achieved last season. This is, again, food for thought. And this is where I am patient, because I understand what it takes to rebuild a football club. Liverpool fans are having this summer right now where they're absolutely above. They're so joyous. Imagine they went and dropped half that money last year on players who are good and helped them win the league, but weren't at the level of Wirtz, or not at the level of Isak. But there now wasn't the money there to go and buy those individuals. Sometimes you do have to be a little bit patient, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I get that people don't have faith in Ineos, so I understand why there's no patience, and I'm not claiming that everybody has to be. It's just why I am, because maybe we do want Belieber, but maybe Brighton have said we are going to charge 120 million if someone wants him this year. Next year, whether he's good, bad, or indifferent, we'll think more around the 80 million mark. But right now, we'll price him out of a move because we want to keep him. If Man United look at him and go, he is literally the future of our midfield. If we can't afford him now, we might see it as we're better off waiting, getting him next year when he's affordable, rather than pivoting to somebody else now that is never going to be as good as him. It's the same as a striker situation, and this is where I'm open-minded to it. But I do listen to other people's views. I was talking to somebody else earlier today, so I don't want Sheshko. Why? Because we're paying 65 million for what he might become. Where Watkins is a little cheaper and we know what he is. I'm like, yeah. But can you imagine back in 2004 if we went and bought Darius for sale because we knew what he could do, and not Wayne Rooney? But I do get that the difference is we trusted Fergie, right? We trusted the club back then. We don't trust the club now. So I do get it. But that's just why, for me, I'm like, great point, Staffy. Great point, Aidan. Great point, Jesse. Great point, KJ. I'm looking at it from this point of view too, because I always knew this would take 3 or 4 years to fix us. And these things happen. And again, I'm going to go to Liverpool because they're being used as the pin-up boys and the poster boys this year. when they didn't sign Van Dijk, I remember that summer, and their fans went mental. Why don't we get someone else? Why don't we go for somebody else? 6 months later, they got him. I wonder now, again, if you could say to any Liverpool fan, if you could go back in time now, would you sign somebody else that summer when you got nobody, or would you waited? They'll all go, yeah, waited. And again, I'm not saying we're going to do that, but I'm just saying that's why I'm not absolutely, excuse my French, CUNTing the club off yet, because I just don't want to come back. I don't want to come back on it. Do you know what I'm saying? But we'll see, man. We'll see. Jesse, what did you make of United tonight? As an outsider looking in, what did you make of it?
I heard you made a comment earlier on. Well, not really a comment. Something, well, you and Staffy were having a conversation in the group chat. And he said that your midfield going to be your downfall for next season. Right? And they basically wanted him to go a little in depth with that. I will go in a little in depth with that. I think your midfield is really slow. And your midfield will get dribbled past easily. If you all are planning to use Bruno Fernandes as that 8, no, don't do it. Absolutely, don't do it. Right? You got it tonight. I am so glad. I remember a couple seasons back, Chelsea was linked with this guy. And the only reason why we didn't get him, because PSG made some excuse or drama that they were in for the player first, and so we wasn't able to get on. He went PSG. PSG ended up loaning him or selling him to you all or whatever, and now we are seeing why. Right? Me personally, I would try to incorporate. I know you all Manu fans wouldn't like it, but try to incorporate Mason Mount into your midfield. Realistically, he played for Chelsea Football Club. I know what Mason Mount could do in the midfield. He could be the person to be the workhorse in the midfield, to do all the hard work on and off the ball. He is a workhorse, right? I don't see anybody else in Man United right now, because you all are screaming out for midfielders. You all have to do something, because you all saying that you all don't really have the finances like that, but you all have to come up with something. This is the time to try these things. Mason Mount, you also try Mason Mount in the midfield. Also, we had a conversation in the group chat earlier on with KJ and stuff, and I was asking him if you all really do get Benjamin Sesko, right? And you all will have to drop one of these players, either Cunha, Embremo, or what's his name? Bruno Fernandes. KJ said Bruno. KJ said Bruno. Why is KJ, sorry to call his name, but why is he singling out Bruno? Because there's he probably identifying Bruno is the weakest link right now. I'm just saying, he looks like the weakest link to me. I mean, you all don't want, that's your captain. We don't want to be too down on him.
Do you know what's interesting about it, Jesse? I see where you're coming from, and I listen to what KJ says. The problem with it is this. So, like, you watch Cunha tonight. Yeah. I rate him. I think he's going to be an excellent player. 2 or 3 times there was an opportunity for him to play the right ball into someone. Each time it was cut out. Bruno makes those passes more regularly than I've seen. And again, I've got a very small sample size of Cunha. I think as he gets to know his teammates more, he'll make more of those passes and he'll help us create. The problem that we have without Bruno is nobody else so far is proven to be as creative as him.
Creative as Bruno.
Yeah, no one is. And the issue that you have is, it's why I said the other day, if Bruno was to leave, I like the idea of a Belieber, but what we'd have to go and spend money on is another true creative player. So maybe that isn't even Belieber. Maybe the midfielder that we actually have to go and buy is a midfielder that plays as an 8, who has a high level of creativity output, because you would miss that from Bruno. As much as people, oh, great, we're not going to lose that ball the way we do. Yeah. but he creates on average 2.7 chances per game. One of the high, he's since he's been in the Premier League, nobody has created more big chances. No one's created more chances. No midfielder has scored more goals. No midfielder has scored more goals from open play than him. And that's the element where people always think, oh, you're just defending Bruno. It's not about defending Bruno. It's looking at the team and says, who picks up that slack? Because the one thing for me, goals matter. It's why I think about the midfield. It's why I think about the midfield. If we'd have spent all our money on our midfield this year, like some people wanted, or the majority of it, we'd control games better and be run through less. However, we'd still only maybe win as many games as last season because you wouldn't have people on the pitch to kill the game off. And this is why I don't even think what you're saying is overall wrong. The issue that we have is because, like I said, when Ineos first came in, my opinion, 80 to 85% of the squad had to go. And I also said at the time, I said, barring Manu at the time, and then I added Lenny Yoro to that list. And since then, I'm adding Haven to it. Everybody else for me, there's a question mark there where they can be sold. And we do need to move players on. The problem that you have is that we don't have what you did at Chelsea. You guys spent 600, 400, 300 million, then 600 million, then 400 million. You're heading towards 400 million again this summer. We don't have your finances because of the 12, 13 years of malpractice that came before it and the 20 years of the Glazers putting debt on our name. So the problem that we have is that we can't fix it as quick as you. We've got money, but we can't fix it as quick as you did in terms of expenditure, in terms of total.
Let me interject, right?
So, yeah, go on.
You did say something there that Bruno is he's the one that creates the most out of any Manchester United player from your midfield or in your attack. Creating is one thing. If you are getting other players to finish their chances is another thing. He could create all day long, but it's if the other guys are finishing. If he is creating, but they are not finishing, that is defeating the purpose, basically. Your problem is that you'll concede a lot of goals as well. That's why the first thing I started off saying is what Staffy was basically probably trying to explain. Your midfield will get dribbled around easily. I understand you'll need a creating spark in that midfield. I totally get it.
So Jesse, let me interject back. I get you. So I'm going to use Fergie's famous quote and unpack it. Goals win games, defenses win your titles. And I agree with that. But Man United are 3 or 4 years away from even potentially being able to compete for a title. I think in the short term, what we need is goals to win games, to get more confidence in the players, to buy the coach more time for the fans to stay on side. Then what we need to add is the midfield and defense to win that extra proportion of games where you could potentially then get yourselves into that title race. I think it's easier to bring in more goal scorers that Bruno can help create for, get them in and settled, and then buy better midfielders than Bruno that can play deeper, that can also create, because you've already got the goal scorers. Because if he brings in the midfielders and we're creating, but there's no one there to score, the manager's probably still going to be forced out of his job, which means you may risk then starting again. So, and by the way, this is where what's becoming really hard in this YouTube space is it needs a grown-up conversation, because I also am aware that I'm not even saying I 100% agree with every element of the strategy, although I would buy the goal scorers first. It can go wrong. It can go wrong still, and he could lose his job. But this is the thing with a lot of people. When your preferred method isn't used and the preferred method is done and it fails, there is this weird assumption of if we'd have done it my way, it would have worked. But you don't know that either. It could also failed if we did it your way. And we've seen this in small detail at Man United in the last 10 years. Once Pogba gone, watch us get better. We didn't. Nope. Wait till Rashford's out of the team, watch us get better. We didn't. There was two polarized groups of fans that hated each other at Man United that both said at different times, when this player leaves, we get better. When Bruno's out this team, you watch us improve. Our win percentage when Bruno doesn't play is so much lower than when he does play. And this is the issue. Neither side ever wants to admit that they could both be right, they could both be wrong. And most of the time, I actually think the truth has been that we've both just been wrong, and it may not even be for the reasons we've given. But too many people when it comes to the conversation between fans, it's just I need to be right, and if I'm right, I'll grow followers, I'll be more famous, I'll make more money.
That is so true.
And that's the bit for me, because I think we've had a constructive conversation here. I totally get where you boys are coming from, especially yourself, Jesse, as an outsider. I get what KJ's saying, but I also understand the approach that we're going for, because I knew it would take 3 or 4 summers to fix this squad. And whatever direction we went in, whether it was a goalie, a centre-back, 1 midfielder, 1 attacker, and we added a little bit, whatever way we did this, we were still going to be short and have massive cracks and still not look great. I just, this weird idea that by the end of this summer, we were going to be like, oh my God, man, we're cooking. I can't wait. Anyone who thought that is a fucking moron. And exactly, Aidan, no one is ready for and no one, by the way, sack Amram tomorrow. Rip up all the plans, start again. We're going to go 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. It's still going to take 3 or 4 years. People are more patient with it if they get what they want. Oh, that's the manager I wanted. That's the formation I wanted. Oh my God, we're making my favorite player the centerpiece. So they're a little bit more patient with what's going on. But I'll be more. Whatever we decide to do, I'm going to be like this with it. Whatever we do, it's a 3 or 4 year process to get to where we want to be. But most Man United fans don't have the stomach for it. What they want is they just want an instant turnaround. But where they're just silly is that that isn't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen.
I could definitely, as a Chelsea fan, testify to that, because we basically was watching our new ownership. They came in and they changed around every single thing. And we so accustomed to winning and being on top, or even being mentioned amongst the elite, right? We didn't have that for 3 years. So now I am seeing what they mentioned from the very beginning when they came in, what they wanted to do. Now we are seeing what is happening. So I will tell Man United fans, this is going to be long and painful, but it have people to do the job, sporting directors. You will have Christopher Vivell. Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
What are you saying, Aidan?
That's the thing. Like with a lot of the clubs, people don't understand it. Most rebuilds are 3 to 4 years. There's very few clubs that turn over very quickly, and it's clubs like Barca and Real Madrid who the people up top demand instant success. We've seen it with Chelsea when they got the new owners. 3-4 years to get players in, players out, get the whole system going. The same things happened at Newcastle. They didn't the first season quickly change. It took them like 2 years to get into the Champions League. They went out and never back in. It's the whole changing over. Like with new ownership, it's their first proper summer coming in. Everyone knew when Amram came in that he didn't have a pre-season. Came in halfway through the season, had none of his signings that came in, and people knew it was going to take time. Amram came in and said, "This you're going to have to suffer first before you reap rewards." It's just Man United fans. A lot of us we just want instant success. We don't want to go through the hardship. It's the same thing with the transfers. Want to be like Liverpool, but they don't want to do what Liverpool did all those years ago. You have to suffer now to get the long-term gain.
So true. So true.
Do you know what's really funny? I remember him in his first interview or his first press conference saying that we will suffer, and things will be bad. But I want to make sure. No, this is an old comment. I'm just trying to find the comment again, because I'm pretty sure what he said is, but he goes, "We're going to suffer now because in a year's time you'll see the benefits." People are now twisting that sound. He said we'd suffer for a few weeks or a few months, and he lied and all of this sort of stuff. That's always going to happen, and it will happen in any direction. And a few people in the comments said, "Terry, but you've said before things are going to take 3 or 4 years when Ten Hag came in." Yeah, and we didn't follow a process, did we? We didn't follow us. It wasn't implementing his style of play. We were broken still. The culture was still bad. So as much as I was right. And when Ten Hag came in, it should have taken 3 or 4 years to get to a point where we competed for a title and built the squad for him. But what I couldn't account for, because I'm not in the dressing room, is that player power still ensued. He wasn't implementing his style. He was buying the wrong players for what he was trying to do. The board were allowing him to do that. We were selling badly still. And when it all comes crashing down, you see it all for what it is. You go, wow, and I always quote Leas, because Leah said this on my show the day that Ten Hag was hired. We can't cheat the process. We cheated the process. So then what happens is you have to start again from scratch. And that's the issue. You're always starting again from scratch. What Chelsea did when Clearlake came in, year one, they made a mistake with their purchases and coach by sacking Tuchel, going to Potter. Then they went and brought Poch in. But they got more aligned to buying they started the young player thing in the January. They carried on going in the summer. But what they've done brilliantly since pivoting to buying younger players from that 1st January onwards is they've maintained that approach. They've just added better coaches in. So again, I'm not adverse to Amorim going per se, as long as the next guy coming in has a similar footballing ethos. So it isn't starting again from scratch. So you can continue the journey. And I've said that all along because and some people say, well, Terry, that weren't what you're saying 4 years ago, 5 years ago about Arteta. But that's because I've learned more about football since then. We've learned more about how Arsenal are now working, how Chelsea have rebuilt. We've seen it in real time. We now will learn what Liverpool did from back in 2010 when FSG came in until now. We know what Man City do in terms of the structure and how the clubs aren't run by their head coaches and managers. They're run by a sporting director and a hierarchy. And actually, over the course of this time, there was one clear vision with adaptations along the way, and the head coach came in as a plug and play. That's why slots gone straight in. So I've learned those things. So of course, I have a different opinion now to what I had 4 or 5 years ago because I've learned more. The same as I used to believe net spend was real until we learned it wasn't. So I stopped speaking about it because we know it isn't real. But yeah, look, from my point of view, I absolutely know that this is a hard and long road. And one question that was asked of me when Ineos came in and started making changes was, do you think the Man United fans have the patience for it? And by and large, the words no come to mind. United fans are not. And I don't think it's because we're Man United fans. I think it's because we're humans. And we're all like this. And we're all like this, Jesse. It's when a Man United fan doesn't get what they want, they lack patience. You know? And I've always said this about the Arteta outers. All the Arteta outers with their standards, not all, because some are integral. Some of them, if Arteta's sacked and they get a manager they love, watch their standards change. I guarantee you, not all, but some of them will suddenly have more a threshold to losing games. Some of them will start to defend performances when they're not winning. Some of them will defend this and defend that, but they wouldn't do with Arteta because for a lot of people, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just pointing out what I think to be an obvious thing, is that a lot of it is based on subjectivity rather than objectivity when it comes to how a club should operate. And I'm just trying my best to be as objective as possible rather than always emotional.
A lot of Man United fans as well need to be realistic. And I think they don't know how badly shaped, well, not badly shaped, sorry. How much of a bad shape Man United is right now. It's been since 2013. That's basically like about 12 years since you all last won the league. And since then, you all won 1 or 2 trophies in between FA Cup and Europa League and stuff. But the bad spending and the COVID, it hit a lot of clubs hard. But
you're spot on, Jess. There are a few comments here. This here says we wasted 60 million on Cunha when we needed a believer. Do you agree with that, Aidan? Do you think we've wasted 60 million on Cunha?
No, because you saw it in Cunha's first game. What he brings to United is totally different from what we had last season. And if you think that one midfielder is just going to completely change the whole dynamic of the team, it's not.
But that's also it as well. I think people. The funniest thing is, if you threw Belieber in now with what we've added ahead of him, you'd go, "Oh, look at the difference." But if you just put Belieber in and nothing ahead of him, there'd still be all these holes in the team. And this is why it's hard to have an honest conversation. Because let's just say we go for attackers this year, score a lot of goals, come 7th, but everybody's like, okay, we improved, and then next summer we buy 2 or 3 midfielders, and then we go to another level, and you go, listen, John. John's no one; he's a fake person. Listen, John, we were right to buy those strikers first. They'll still go, no, should have done it my way around. We'd be even better. And there's never, you're never. I've noticed this with most debates. People will just continually, like you said, Rashford was crap. Yeah. Why Barcelona signed him, a team that you said last year one of the best in the world? Doesn't mean I was wrong. Yeah, kind of does. What if he does well at Barca? Nah, still not going to change my mind, because you get that a lot now when people sign a player. Yeah. What does player A have to do to, like, for you to say you were wrong about him? Nothing.
They will always want to be right.
Nothing he can ever do to change my mind. It's like, then there's just no point to having conversations with you, because we know the thing is, if you're that regimented, once you've said your piece once, you never need to be listened to again, because there's no yielding, there's no change.
The thing is, with people saying just one player, we said that for the past few years, that every manager will, like, get this one player and we'll do better. It's not as simple as that.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. The manager kept Bruno and said Manu is a 10. Well, no, he said Manu can do more than a 10, so you're misquoting the manager. United fans are so quick to criticize. Why? I've seen improvement tonight. Surely Ruben Amorim can make Manu, Ugarte, Mount and Bruno work. I've seen a different attitude tonight. Campbell, I will say this. I'm critical of things tonight. I also praise things. I was very, very praiseful in the past 2 games. I'm going to keep the same energy for what I had for Arsenal, though. I'm not going to judge everything based on tonight. We actually played better teams than Everton earlier on in this preseason and look better. You also can have an off night, especially in preseason. And there have been improvements. Some of the transitional attacks from us today, I was very excited about. Very excited about. Where I was going, oh, that could be really good next year. And it's the first time these boys have kicked a ball in a semi-competitive game together. You know, let's get Mbumo some more minutes in the Fiorentina game, and I hope he starts. We do need to add more to this team and squad, but there are things to be positive about. And what I agree with you on is there was a different attitude tonight. I did think we got a little dicey under pressure, but I didn't think we quit. So yeah, look, there have been improvements this summer. That's why I'm giving it the whole thing. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. If you ask me just about preseason performances and results, everything all in, I'd probably give it a 7.5. I'm marking it down more because I wanted more players in. Maybe even 8.5. I'm marking it down though because I wanted more players through the door earlier. And I always said I would stand on business when it comes to that, and I have. But boys, listen, I want to thank you, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know it's late. I want to thank all of our viewers. We're back tomorrow morning with Straight Facts with George and Jamie at 10:30 a.m. So make sure you're all back with us. We're going to redirect you to that show now. Actually, let me check we're doing that, because I don't always know what I'm doing, because I'm only human after all. Yes, we are. So, yes, why isn't KJ on tonight? KJ's camping. He's away with his family. He's away having a little holiday, so he's not here. Listen, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Luis Paqueta is available. Yeah, but he, again, is a more attacking midfielder. He's not deeper. So
One thing I will say before we go, the commenter just now, that's if they could find a way to fit Mason Mount with Bruno Fernandes, Kobe Mino, and Ugarte, find a way to fit the 4 of them, change the formation slightly. I think that could be a possibility as well. Something to look at.
Be decent. Could be decent if he can make it work. They need to be close together. If he can make it work. Yeah, he's got to get them close together because they don't have legs. That's the thing. They've got to be closer together because they can't cover that ground. But you see when they're working, like the interplay today between Mount and Bruno, that was very special. And the goal was fantastic. So, yeah, more of that. But one thing I will say, and I get what Jesse means, is the viewers, again, nothing is like, because I know what Staffy would say to that. No, he'd get very angry. But Jesse isn't saying that's the midfield forever. It's, can you bodge that together to make it work for a season before you add more to it? That's what's being said there.
That is all because of the situation you all are in.
And the thing is, Jesse, everyone with IQ gets what you mean. You know what I mean? Angry Man United fans have IQ. They're just angry like Staffy. He's the heel at the moment. And also, I found out Staffy likes WWE, and that made a lot of sense the way he's angry. He's being a bit of a heel. That's what he's doing. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. This is going to redirect you to Straight Facts. So go there now and like it and bookmark it for the morning. And we'll